And now imagine being at sea for 250 consecutive days with no proper break, barely any time on land, and no clear end to your deployment. That is the reality of more than 5,000 sailors and Marines aboard the USS Abraham Lincoln. And now, reports of multiple sailors allegedly trying to jump overboard has raised significant questions about the mental health of the crew deployed there. The aircraft carrier has been deployed for 9 months and has reportedly spent a record 250 days without making land. The ship left San Diego in November, originally bound for the Pacific, but after the war involving the US, Israel and Iran began, the Lincoln was redirected to the West Asia. Its deployment was supposed to end in May. Instead, it has been extended multiple times. Navy Times and Stars and Stripes have reported multiple incidents involving sailors allegedly trying to go overboard. In one reported case, a sailor attempted to jump after his deployment was repeatedly extended. In another, a crew member reportedly stopped a fellow sailor from going overboard. The reports have deeply worried military families. At a town hall in San Diego, attended by around 200 family members, one spouse reportedly told Navy leadership that her husband had texted her saying that he hoped that he would not wake up. Families and lawmakers have also raised concerns about the living conditions aboard the carrier. Reports have cited moldy showers, broken toilets, laundry facilities being out of service for long stretches without hot water, and shortages of basic supplies as well. There have also been complaints about poor quality and rationed food. Congressman Mike Levin has accused the Pentagon of failing sailors who are being asked to remain deployed for months on end. The Navy, however, disputes the claim that suicidal incidents are increasing aboard the Lincoln. A Navy official said that the service has not identified an increase in reported suicidal thoughts or suicide attempts aboard the ship. Officials also say that sailors have access to medical professionals and mental health support, counselors, and chaplains. The Navy insists that the ship currently has clean water, functioning air condition, and healthy meal options. But the USS Abraham Lincoln has become a symbol of enormous human cost of the prolonged military deployments. The ship can continue sailing, the war can continue, but with 250 days at sea and counting, the question now is whether the people on board can continue carrying the psychological weight of the mission. Concerning report coming in directly from Washington. 250 days continuously at the sea, and now reports are coming in that the sailors and the crew are being pushed to their limits on the Abraham Lincoln. That is the reality of more than 500 sailors and Marines aboard the USS Abraham Lincoln. Reports are coming in of moldy showers, lack of food supplies, and poor quality of food as well, that is pushing crew members to their limits, and some sailors have reported to jump off the ship. Serious questions and concerns have been raised about the mental health of the crew on board. It's been 250 days without the carrier making to land. The aircraft carrier has been deployed for 9 months and has reportedly spent 250 days without making land. The ship left San Diego in November, and it was originally bound for Pacific. But then US had waged war on Iran, and the carrier had to be deployed to the West Asia. And to understand more on this, I am being joined by Commodore Ranjit B. Rai, defense expert. Thank you so much, Mr. Rai, for making time and joining me on the broadcast. My first question to you is, do you think that this prolonged conflict and the deployment of the USS Abraham Lincoln is pushing the sailors to a breaking cost at this moment?
Well, this is a very unusual situation where a huge aircraft carrier has been at sea for 250 days.
Right.
Of course, you have given a brief of what has been happening on that ship. It's coming out in the media. But what you've not told us is that the wives of officers and men have put up a big plea in the United States because whether there were suicide attempts or not, they have said there is mental anguish on that ship. They are not able to understand what their husbands are reporting to them. The children are getting worried about their fathers. So therefore, and of course there are women on board ship. Of course there was a report of clogging of systems on board. The ship had to go in for repairs. So it is a very, very serious human problem. Even on a submarine, the limited amount of food and time a submarine spends is nowhere near more than 3.5 months.
Right.
Because you have a red crew, you have a blue crew. The red crew goes to sea, comes back, the blue crew takes over. But of course, you can't blame them because President Trump, in his global truth, has been saying that he is not worried about what's going on. And his defense secretary, of course, like our defense minister, he's under tremendous criticism. So you are absolutely right. When human beings have a limit to the capability, of course, the machine can carry on running. Captains have to run their ships. Good captains have to obey orders. But this 250-day deployment is absolutely never heard of, and especially in a democratic country. Maybe in some countries you force people in olden days, but today in the modern world, to have a modern country like United States of America pushing their men, pushing their machines for 250 days with tremendous problems on board, and the food quality, the wives have been reporting, husbands have been having a very poor menu. And
Right.
therefore, there is worry for every person who's connected with that ship. And I'm sure Pentagon is worried too.
Commodore, but for the viewers to understand, 250 days on a carrier and without making land, what is the toll it can take on a sailor's mental health, especially?
See, you've asked a very interesting question. A human being can stand a lot. We have got knowledge that people who go up to the Mount Everest, they face weather. We go to sea, we face weather. Even in the Indian Navy, women officers have gone round the world. But then they're doing something which is normal. They're given all the facilities that you know that you have to go around the world. You can't tell them after going round the world once, you go back again. And therefore, this carrier has got aircraft on board, it is flying aircraft, it is carrying out missions, it is in armed waters. If Iran decided to have some sort of a missile attack, I mean, which it did on the carrier, therefore, there is a lot of worry and therefore the mental anguish. And when will it end? You know, in any form of strategy, operational orders, you are given the limits of which you'll be operating. We had the 71 war, and naturally we went to war, but that was very small. 250 days at sea is a terrible period to be on the same ship because you're congested. While in other services, you come back to harbor or Indian Army, the whole, or any army, land is available on board. Here you're bored to death next to each other, 5,000 people inside of two football fields for 250 days. It's a human challenge.
Right. Commodore, do you think that if I talk about the strategy of the administration, because the government is responsible to take care of the sailors that they have sent on the war, but do you think that Donald Trump did not underestimated Iran as the enemy and the war in itself? Do you think that this Iran war has turned into routine deployment, into an unprecedented endurance test for the sailors and for the Donald Trump administration as well?
You have asked a very interesting question. And having worked in intelligence, I can say the world did not expect Iran to manage what they did. I do not know whether Indian intelligence agencies have sat down and looked back at their intelligence reports to know that Iran had gone and got the missile, Spider missile from Russia, got a missile called Draco 2, and made it the Shaheed, went ahead with Shaheed 2. And therefore, President Trump, I must say, his intelligence probably let him down. He thought he could finish this whole operation in a short period of time. We've had an experience in India where General Sundarji said that he will finish the LTT rising in Sri Lanka in Op Pavan in a few days. He called them the LTT boys. But they kept India busy for 3 years. So President Trump I mean, with all his intelligence, has made that fault what many people have made in the world. We also, in a small way, made a blunder when we went into Blue Star, into the Amritsar Golden Temple, not aware how General Shabek Singh and Brindhanwala have fortified. So therefore, Iran seems to have got the courage. Of course, I believe in Iran, they were ruthless. Any
Right.
objection to what they were doing, there was an uprising. But at the end of the day, they have stood up to the United States of America. And United States has landed itself in a position that it cannot go further because American bases have been hit in the Middle East. And there, the Middle East is also almost begging Trump not to carry out any more attacks.